For the third time, Boris Johnson tried to get an early election based on the Fixed Term Parliament Act. That's what I'm going to talk about in this video, so let's get started. Hi, I'm Mark, welcome to my channel and welcome to another exciting Brexit day. Before I go into the topic, I just want to say thank you. My channel is 5 months and 1 day old and already I've got 100 subscribers, and that's what I want to say thank you for all your support in this short time to get me where I am right now. If you're not a subscriber yet, please think about subscribing to my channel and help me on the way to the next big step of 1,000 subscribers. I'm already grateful for this achievement, but the next big step is the big step on YouTube, and I'm really working hard to get there, and I thank you already for your support on this way. But now let's get into the topic. Before I talk about the vote, I just want to mention that Boris Johnson after the vote had a big surprise up his sleeve again. I'm going to talk about this at the end of the video, so this time I have to ask you to stick to the video until the end. But first we come to the motion at hand. Boris Johnson for the third time tabled a motion for an early election based on the Fixed Term Parliament Act. That means to get this motion through he would have needed 2/3 of Parliament to vote for it. Boris Johnson opened the debate on this, of course, and he said he'd rather get Brexit done than have a general election, but he doesn't see any other way to do that, so a general election is needed. In the motion he tabled, he for once had the early election based on the Fixed Term Parliament Act, plus the time until the 6th of November to scrutinize the withdrawal bill, because the way he wanted it was to get the withdrawal bill through Parliament and then on the 12th of December have a general election, so to speak, after Brexit. In this debate, or better in his statement at the first place, he hit quite hard on Jeremy Corbyn because he voted twice against the general election. Jeremy Corbyn paid back dearly, and he immediately said they won't support that motion because Boris Johnson cannot be trusted. Boris Johnson abandoned every promise he made so far. Boris Johnson has failed with everything he tried, and now he tries to blame Parliament for it. He said the Prime Minister would say or do anything to get what he wants. In case of the Fixed Term Parliament Act, of course, the trust point does play a role, because Boris Johnson states a date for the election, but after the motion has passed, he can always change the date. That is a crucial point. I mentioned this in videos before, and other parts of the opposition felt the same, that they want a fixed date and not a date the Prime Minister can change by his choosing. On one point, Jeremy Corbyn seems to be wrong, because he said the extension is still not accepted. As far as I got it in the debate, even if Boris Johnson didn't answer on this immediately, but the parts of the press I got at the same time said that he did accept the extension at the EU. I couldn't confirm it yet, but it sounded quite clear. What was a bit annoying was that when Jeremy Corbyn was talking or other Labour MPs were talking during interventions, many Conservative MPs tried to shout down the other side. That's, from my point of view, not a very good style. So it was not another beautiful to watch day in Parliament, let's say it that way. But in another video I talked about the motion of the Lib Dems and the SNP that they wanted general election with a short motion to have an election on the 9th of December. Jeremy Corbyn didn't turn that down during that debate. He said they will look at this legislation and will consider it. Jeremy Corbyn said an early election is necessary, and once again he said, as he always does, if no deal is off the table, if the date is fixed, there's the trust part again, and if students can vote. And this time, we heard this several times in the last days from Brexiteers, from the Brexit party and from the Tory party, that they said Jeremy Corbyn wants to get as many students as he can to the vote. And there he did agree with them, because he said the 12th of December is a bad day for the students because they're always already on their Christmas holidays. But as far as I got it, many colleges haven't shut down on the 12th of December already, so it won't be a majority of the students. or not even many of the students on that day. But with all Jeremy Corbyn said, he would have had to support the Lib Dem SNP motion, but we get to that later on again. After Jeremy Corbyn, Ian Blackford from the SNP, who are, let's say, in bed with the Lib Dems on their motion for an early election on the 9th of December, said they do want an early election, which is understandable because the SNP can probably get a lot of seats in Scotland in an early election, in opposition to the Labour Party, which there are many fears that they might lose seats. But Ian Blackford said they want a fixed date election. They don't want an after Brexit election, which would happen with the motion of Boris Johnson. He, by the way, thanked the EU for the extension they granted, because otherwise it wouldn't be possible that easily to have the election without the danger of crashing out of the EU. But he concluded they will not support the Prime Minister's motion, but they will hope for their motion together with the Lib Dems to get in Parliament. They will vote for that and hope that Conservatives and Labour will vote for that too, and so they have their early election on the 9th of December. By a Tory MP, he was asked, because of the voting age of 16, he mentioned as well, if that wasn't possible for an election on the 9th of December, which is probable, by the way, because even if they could get an amended motion through the House of Lords and back to the House of Commons until Thursday, there wouldn't be enough time to register all the 16 and 17-year-old voters until the 9th of December. And because of that, Ian Blackford answered, he wants it for future elections. Of course, he's campaigning for this for a long time, but he's not insisting on it for this election. So there probably won't be amendments from the SNP to try this on this one, not to delay this election. And because at the moment there is also no majority for a second referendum in this House, an election is needed, and so he was telling Labour they have to support this Lib Dem SNP motion. Jo Swinson from the Liberal Democrats went the same way. Of course, she wants to stop Brexit. That was their consistent view. And the best way would be to put Boris Johnson's deal to a public vote. But she also sees that there's no majority for people's vote in this parliament. And that's why she also thinks an early election is necessary. But also not on the basis of a fixed term Parliament Act election. Anna Soubry intervened there, by the way, and made quite clear she doesn't want an early election. She says it's not the time for an early election. There can be a majority for a referendum, but Jo Swinson gave up on that one in this parliament, so she is not in line there with Anna Soubry anymore. She's more afraid that Labour or Labour rebels might help the government to deliver Brexit via the withdrawal bill, and so she prefers an early election, but they also won't support the PM's motion. So she also stated to the government, give time for our bill tomorrow, and then we will vote for an early election. She, by the way, said the extension by the EU was granted that early because of that SNP Liberal Democrat bill. I can't confirm that. I haven't heard anything like this from the side of the EU, but I can't rule it out either. But of course, something like this is a clear sign that the general election is very possible right now, that the EU might have said, okay, for a general election we grant an extension until January. And she also stated that she wants 16 and 17-year-old to vote in general elections. As we know, she also wants a proportional representation system for a general election, but she's also not insisting on these points for this one election, not to delay it. And she concluded with two hopes. First of all, that the government will give time for the Liberal Democrat SNP bill, and that she hopes that Labour will vote for it. Back to the age of 18 thing, by the way, Tom Brake on TV this morning said that they are not going for a voting age of 16 because that could delay the bill so long that it will not be possible to have the election on the 9th of December anymore. So he already stated what Jo Swinson also said, that this won't be the issue. The DUP said they are not scared of the electorate, but they are scared of this withdrawal bill. And this is combined to the election, first of all, and they don't want it. and they want to make sure this bill doesn't get through anyway, and so they will not support the Prime Minister's motion for the early election, because that deal would only be Brexit for part of the UK, but not for Northern Ireland. Because I mentioned so many, I just got to add the member of the independent group who stated that he doesn't want this general election because he said it's time for a legally binding confirmatory vote, so legally binding referendum on the withdrawal bill. But he brought up one interesting point that was shortly mentioned before in an intervention, is that there are still no regulations for social media. We all heard about the problems with social media being used for campaigning and so on, and there are no regulations yet, and the independent group fears that this will be the case for the next early election as well. But the result was quite clear. On this motion, the vote was 299 voted for yes, 70 voted with no. For a motion on the Fixed Term Parliament Act, you need 2/3 of the members of Parliament. That would have been 434 members of Parliament would have had to vote yes, and so the noes had it, and this motion did not pass. But then, right after the vote, Boris Johnson made an announcement, and there we are, the surprise I stated in the beginning of this video. Boris Johnson announced that later tonight the government is going to table a short bill for an early election on the 12th of December. So this bill will be on the schedule tomorrow. He said they are doing this instead of their attempts with the Fixed Term Parliament Act because the paralysis of the Parliament has to end and the government has to end it now. That's why they are going for a short bill now instead of the motions they used before. And they are doing this immediately tonight. And he says then the voters can have a say if they want this deal or not. And if there are no traps included in this motion, I don't think so, because everything was tried so far, except the only issue with the date of the 12th of December. But I don't think that when this motion will be on the schedule tomorrow and not the Lib Dem SNP motion with the 9th of December, the only issue would be the date and the 3 days. This cannot be the big issue. And if there are no amendments successful, if it's really just a motion that states the election will be on the 12th of December, I have to make another prediction now. Some of you like my predictions, even to see if I'm right or wrong then. I will say that this motion will get through, at least with the help of the Liberal Democrats and most of the SNP. I know 1 or 2 of the SNP don't want a general election because they are afraid Boris Johnson might win with a big majority. In a campaign, you never know what happens. Remember the last election of Theresa May? She was far ahead in the polls and then suddenly she was there without a majority and she had to talk to the DUP. But it can work the other way around again as well. Boris Johnson now ahead in the polls with 15 points the last time I saw some, and he suddenly can end up with 60% of the seats. Everything is possible in an election, and some SNP members are afraid of that, but it was just 1 or 2. And so with the majority of the SNP, the Liberal Democrats and the Conservatives, Boris Johnson can get this through tomorrow. And because the date cannot be the big issue, I would say now, once again I have to say, with the information I've got today, that we will be going to see a general election on the 12th of December. Got quite a long video now, but I thought these detailed information are important to get a bigger picture. When I publish this video is Tuesday morning already. I'm filming it Monday evening quite late. It's too late after editing and everything and making 2 videos. You remember I always have to do German and English to do it tonight, otherwise almost nobody will watch it. So I'm gonna publish it tomorrow morning. When you see it, it's this morning, it's Tuesday, and this afternoon in Parliament there will be the vote on the short bill about the election. Of course, depending on the time when it happens in Parliament, I will definitely film another video tonight about that, but I can't promise that you are going to see that tonight or tomorrow morning. It really depends on the time just like it was with this video, but I'll keep you informed. For now, I thank you for watching, have a nice day, and see you very soon.